Alright, so part 3 of question 3. So implement both a queue and a stack. Provide only the essential methods for both. And so we're going to start with the queue here. And so the first thing we need is the node. And so that's going to store our data and also the pointer to the next element in the queue. So we're going to set those both to null since this is the default constructor. And so we're going to move on to the next part. This is the destructor right here. But since there is no permanent memory that we need to get rid of, we're just going to leave that blank. And so starting at the constructor for the queue. This is the default constructor. As you can see, it takes no parameters, and we're just going to initialize the instance variables to null. So we have head and tail. And so we're going to use those to access the first and last element respectively in the queue. And so here we have the destructor for the queue, and this actually has stuff in it, as there is some memory on the heap that we need to clear up. So first we're going to set a pointer of type QNode equal to head, and then we're going to loop while head is not equal to null. And so we're going to set head equal head next. We're going to delete p, which is the original element that head was pointing to, and then set p equal to head, and that's going to go all the way through the queue and delete it. So we got 1, 2, 3. We got original head, and then set, and here's original p. Set head to head dot next. There's head now. We're going to delete p, and we're going to do it again. So, and set p equal to head. So now that's p, head next, delete p equals head, and then delete that, and then finally head would be pointing to null, and that would end the loop. So now push back. We're going to use push back because we're only going to be inserting elements into the end of the queue because it's first in, first out, and then we're going to have pop front later for taking from the front, because that's how a queue is going to be implemented. That's how it works. And so first, to push back, we're going to want to create a new queue node, and with the parameter data, if there was a, this is just the default, but if we had another constructor here, it would take parameter type data and then just set data equal to whatever's in the parameter. But this is just the necessary methods here. And so we create the new node, we set tail next equal to the new node that we're inserting. So we have tail right here, it's at the end, and so this is the new element right here, that's p. So we want to set tail next equal to that, and then make the tail equal to p, as it is our last element. So we want to keep that updated. And so here we have pop front, which I previously mentioned. And so to do this, we're going to create a new node, p. We're going to create a pointer p, set it equal to the head. So we got our head, p. Just call that our tail. And so we're going to make head equal to head next. So that would make, this is wrong. Switch it. Yeah, so there's actually an error in here. Oh wait, is there? Oh yeah, pop front, yeah. Alright, so we're gonna just restart that, it doesn't matter. Alright, so we're gonna create a new pointer of type QNode and point it to head. So here we got our head, here we got our pointer. And so we're gonna set head equal to head dot next. So that would be the head now. And we're gonna return p because we wanna remove this first element and return it. So get rid of that and you just return it. And so next we got peak, which is just going to take that first element and return it. So yeah, it's just essentially pop without the remove part. So we just return head data, which is just going to return the data associated with the first element, which is the part that we're interested in. Moving on to the stack, essentially all the same stuff, except for it doesn't have a tail, and also it's going to be push front instead of push back. So yeah, this is all the same here, just data equals null, next equals null for the default constructor. The S node, same thing for the destructor. And so the default constructor for the stack is just going to be head equals null, as we don't need a tail because we don't need to access the last element. And so here's the destructor for the stack, and it's actually pretty much exactly the same thing as the queue. So just moving along. And push front, fairly similar to push back, except we're gonna create a new node and set p next equal to head. So we got p here, we got the head, so p next equals head, and then we're going to set the head equal to p, because that is now our first element. Pop front, so we just have a pointer to the head and set head to the next element, and then return the first element. So remove it, and then you have that first element now. And then peak, essentially the same thing, you just return head, the head's data, which is the part we're interested in. And yeah, that's about it.